So for example, the ergon of a knife is to cut things. That is the activity, the function that characterizes what a knife is. Or the ergon of a sprinter is to run fast and win races. The ergon of a car is to get people from point A to point B. And this idea of ergon gives us a kind of framework through which we can evaluate things. So for example, a car that's always breaking down and blowing up is not a good car because it isn't performing its function well. It isn't getting people reliably from point A to point B. Likewise, a knife that's totally blunt and can't even cut through a stick of butter, that's not a good knife because it's not performing its function well. In contrast, a knife that can cut through a tough steak with ease, that's a good knife because it's performing its function well. And virtues, as in virtue ethics, are traits of things that enable them to perform their function well. So, with the example of a knife, sharpness is a virtue of a knife because sharpness helps a knife perform its function of cutting things. Anyway, the point of all these examples is to illustrate Aristotle's kind of teleological worldview. Everything has an ergon or a function, and virtues are traits that enable the thing to perform this ergon or function well. And this worldview extends also to human beings. So if the ergon of a knife is to cut things, what is the ergon of a human being? What's the unique function that characterizes a human? The answer Aristotle arrives at is the use of reason. It is this function that differentiates a human being from a knife, a plant, all these other things. The use of reason is the unique characteristic of a human being. More specifically, he says to act according to reason. Aristotle doesn't think the function of a human is to just sit around kind of pontificating and reading books and theorizing. So the ergon of humans, their unique characteristic activity, is to use reason and act rightly according to reason. And just as the virtue or arete of sharpness enables the knife to perform its function well, human beings also can have virtues, character traits that enable them to act rightly according to reason. So virtues, virtue ethics, these are character traits like being courageous, being friendly, having self-control, for example. And these are character traits that enable us to act rightly, act in the right way.